Okay, good day, guys. I hope you are well today. Um, so today we will just finish the chapter zero. I'm planning on doing chapter 0,5 and chapter 0,6 by the end of today, right? So hopefully we can, move fast enough and also make sure that everyone understands and we are able to finish chapter 0,6. Okay, so I just want to make sure that the video is recording. Seems like everything is fine. Okay, so we may get started. Let me just erase this. All right, so before we get started, can you see my screen? And can you also hear my voice? Just put a thumbs up in the chat if you can. Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. So it seems like everyone is on board. Okay, so the chapter that we are going to do today is 0,5, which is factoring, right? So I hope everyone also did my homework from the previous session the homework that I gave you guys from the previous session. It seems like everyone did not send me the homework, right? But quite a number of you guys did send me, and thank you for doing it, right? It's gonna help you greatly. And I'll also give you more homework for today, and I will post the answers of the homework on the YouTube video, right? So I'm sure if you did do the homework, I sent you a VN or I sent you a message saying that I'm gonna upload the answers on YouTube. So just please make sure that you're subscribed and you can also view so that you can view you don't miss out anything, right? Okay, so let's begin. We are starting with factoring, right? And factoring, if I may just tell you, is the opposite of what we were doing in the previous chapter, right? So in the previous chapter, we were simplifying, right? We were simplifying. We got maybe like a huge expression, then we broke it down. You see, we broke it down, and then maybe we simplified it after that, right? So now we are technically going in reverse, right? We're just doing the opposite of it, right? So I'm just going to teach you guys a couple of laws or a couple of rules of factoring. And then after that, we'll do a couple of examples. And then we'll head over to the next chapter after that as well, right? Okay. So the first rule of factoring, right? Let's say we have x, y plus x, plus xz, right? I'm sure you guys are familiar with this. When we factor this, what do we use? We use the method called common factor, right? We find the common factor. And the common factor in this case would be, so just give me a second. Okay, so the common factor in this case would be our, I don't know why that's, okay, there we go, perfect. Okay, so the common factor in this case would be our x, right? Because it appears in both terms, right? So this means that we can take out a common factor of x, right? And then what do we have left in the brackets? We have the y. This y is remaining. And then this plus as well is remaining. And this z. So we call this common factor. You guys are familiar with this, right? So for example, let's do a quick example. Let's say we have 2y plus 2z. Do you guys agree that we can take out a common factor over here? Perfect. So we can take out a common factor of 2, right? And then we would have y plus z remaining. Okay, what about if we change these numbers? And then maybe I say 5 over here and then 10 over here. Can I still take out a common factor? Just put a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Okay, okay, perfect, perfect. So you guys are familiar with this. I can take out a common factor of 5, right? So if I take out a common factor of 5, I will have y plus 2z remaining, right? Pretty straightforward stuff. Okay, so now let's head over to the second one. So the second one, let's say we have x squared plus a plus b multiplied by x, right? Plus ab. How do we take this back, right, into brackets form, right? How do we factor it? I'm sure you guys still remember this. I'm sure you guys still remember this, right? So in the previous session, we had two brackets, right? And we were supposed to go from these two brackets to this format. This time around, we just have to go the opposite direction, right? So in this case, I just open my two brackets, and then all I have to do is distribute what I see, right? So I have x squared over here. I'm going to distribute my x over there into one of the brackets, and I'm also going to distribute one of my x's into the other brackets, right? So I've used up two x's over there. And then I'm also going to distribute these two. Don't mind this middle term. It doesn't matter, right? So we just need to focus on the outer parts, right? These outer two. So in this case, I'll distribute one of my a's over here, and I'll also distribute a b, right? And then what happens now? What do we put in the middle symbol, right? Okay, so in order for me to get a positive over here, right? What can I say? I can say a negative and a negative, right? Or I can say a positive and a positive, right? So which one would be the correct one? Which one would be the correct? A positive and a positive, or a negative and a negative? What do you guys think? Just type it in. If maybe one of you guys can unmute yourselves and what do you call it?
Positive matter.
Positive, positive.
Negative.
So with the negative, here is the problem when you use a negative and a negative, right? Remember, we're trying to go back to this format, right? So let's quickly just do it. So we have x squared, right? Minus a x minus b, minus bx minus ax plus ab. So are you guys able to identify where the problem is? Do you see that the symbols are different over there, right? So that's why you cannot use a negative, right? So a trick you can use, right, that I was taught back then, is that when I look for these, for the symbols to use, right, I need to look at this one. If it's a positive and we have another positive over here, then I just use two positives as well over here. Are you guys fine with that? Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. And then here's how you know that you need to use a negative and a negative, right? If this symbol was a negative, then that's when immediately, if this symbol was a negative, right? If this symbol is a negative and this one is a positive, then that's when you immediately know that you can use a negative and a negative. So those are just some tricks that I was taught, right? And then let's say maybe this, yeah. So basically, those are the two that I was taught back then, right? Okay. So in this case, we have determined that we need to use a positive and a positive, and then you can just quickly test it out if you want, right? But I assure you, it's gonna lead back to the exact same expression, right? So you guys, I'm assuming you guys are fine with that one. Okay, so maybe let's do a quick example as well. So let's use this one actually. Okay, so for this example, right, I'm basically testing you. I'm testing you guys on the two rules that we have learned so far, right? What would be the first thing we are required to do? Can someone answer that? So they want us to factor this. What would be the first thing we are required to do? Anyone wants to answer this? Divide by 3, right? Or by other words, you can take out a common factor of 3, right? That's 100% correct. So you take out a common factor of 3. Actually, don't just divide by 3, right? And then you don't show the 3 anymore. Take out a common factor of 3, right? And then inside the brackets, you would have x squared plus 2x plus 1. Are you guys with me on this? Perfect. So after you have taken out a common factor, then that's when we can now open two brackets. And then what do we use? What do we put in our brackets? Okay, so I see Level put a thumbs down. Okay, so Level, just maybe type in the chat or unmute yourself and tell me where you are lost.
No, sorry, I pressed that button by mistake.
Okay, not a problem. Okay, so as I was saying, right, once we have it in this form, right, it's basically this format. Then we just need to take it to that two brackets format as well, right? So I'm going to distribute my x like usual. And then what's going to happen now? I need a multiple, right? I need two multiples that will give me a 1 when I multiply them together. So that's just simple. We can just use a 1 and a 1, right?
So I have a
Then
question.
remember, okay, yes.
Uh, isn't there supposed to be a bigger bracket, like for the two brackets there?
Okay, so you said for the second bracket, are you asking if this is not supposed to be a bigger bracket?
No, there's supposed to be a bigger bracket that like how
Oh,
can I
yes,
explain?
yes, yes, yeah, yeah. Yes, definitely
Yeah,
like this. Yes, yes,
yes.
yes. So that's fine. Okay. But either ways, even if you do not put in the brackets, right? When you multiply it in one of the brackets, then it's going to lead to the same answer, right? But it's always good practice to put the brackets. So let me do that. Okay. So once we have distributed the 1 and the 1, remember we need to multiply these two together in order for us to get this one, right? Okay. So now what do we put in the middle? What do you call the symbols? What do we put in the middle over there for the two brackets? So I need someone to answer me so I can see that you guys have been listening. Positive. Does everyone agree?
Yes. Positive.
Okay, perfect. Positive, positive, right? Perfect, 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 perfect. And then you can simplify this further. As you can see, we have the exact same brackets, right? Exact same expression over there. So you can just say 3 brackets x plus 1 squared. And then that's it. So I would like to do one more as well, just to make sure that we are all okay with this, with the basics. We have x squared minus x minus 6, right? Renelwe, I see you raised up your hand. You may ask a question.
Yes, so may I ask? So if we divide by 3, do we still put
Okay.
the 3 before the bracket?
Okay, so yes, the problem with just dividing by 3, right? And not taking out a common factor. If you just divide by 3, you have totally changed the expression, right? You can only divide by 3 if it was like this, if it was an equation, right? So if it was an equation maybe like this, then that's when you can divide by 3. And then remember, you have to do it on both sides. You have to divide by 3 on both sides, right? Since when this is not an equation, you need to take out a common factor of 3 so that you do not change the original expression. Oh, sorry, so that you do not change the original expression, just like how we did over there. Are you guys with me on that?
Yes, so thank you.
Okay, pleasure. And then Dennis, I see you also raised up your hand.
Sorry, sir, I have just joined. Can you please go back just a little bit?
Okay, let me just move back. Okay, so you want to see the top part?
Yes, I just wanted to see the top part. Thank
Okay,
you.
so pleasure. So we just did the common factor over there. Nothing much as of yet. Okay,
Right.
so let's continue with this example, right? Are we allowed to use the quadratic equation? So you are only allowed to use the quadratic equation if the expression is an equation, right? This is not an equation. So you cannot solve for anything over here. You cannot solve for your x because this is not an equation, right? Are you guys okay with that? Is everyone fine with that? Please don't just use the quadratic equation. You need to use the quadratic equation if you see something like this with an equal sign. Right? Okay. We will head over to equations a bit later. Do BX students also join the live? Yes, that's fine. You can join the live. It's exactly the same topics. So you can definitely join if you want to. Okay. So we have x squared minus x minus 6. How do we distribute this? So the x's are obvious. And then for these spots, what do we put? So I need a number, right? I need a number that's going to give me a -1 when I add it or subtract it together. And that number must come from the -6, right?
Negative
So
6.
I'm just gonna show you. So can you just please mute your mic? Let me just check where it is. Please mute your mic, guys. Please check if your mics are muted. Okay. So as I was saying, right, in order for us to get these spots, right, what do we need to do? We need to find multiples of 6 that will give us a -1 from this middle term when we add them or subtract them together, right? So let's first find the multiples of 6. So multiples of 6 is 1 and 6. Hope you guys agree with that. Sorry, I hope you guys agree on that, right? And the other one is 2 and 3, right? So there's no ways, right? There's no ways in maths you can ever add or subtract 6 and 1, and then you get a -1, right? So it has to be the 2 and the 3 in this case. So we'll use the 2 and the 3, and we can use the 2 and the 3 if we say 2 minus 3. That's going to give us the -1 we want, right? So let's use the 2 and the 3 in those spots. So we will say +2 over here and the 3 over here, the -3 and the +2 over here. Are you guys fine with this? Pretty straightforward. Okay, perfect. Okay. So I think everyone is fine with this. But I did not see a lot of thumbs up, so I'm not satisfied. Renee, you may ask a question.
So after this, do you say x is equals to 2? Or since it's not an equation, we just leave it like that?
So since it's not an equation, right? You leave it like that. So if it was an equation, that's when you would say x plus 2 is equals to 0, or x minus 3 is equals to 0, right? And then that's when you find your x by taking this over to the other side.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So if you do not see an equal sign, don't try to solve for x. Right? Please, guys, I'm begging you on that. Okay, so let's move over to the next law. I'm gonna move a bit faster now. Okay, so we have the next law that says a, b, and then x squared plus ad plus cb, right? Actually, no, let's leave this law. It's the same thing as the previous one, and it's quite useless to see when you're writing down expressions like that. It's better to see it when we're doing examples. So let's leave that one, and then let's do this one as well. So x squared plus 2ax plus a squared, right? So this one is pretty straightforward, guys. Pretty straightforward, right? You have your x squared, you have your positive symbols, you have 2 a's. It's telling you have a squared over there, 2 a's. So you open your brackets, distribute your x, distribute your x, distribute your a's. Now what do we put in the middle, since it's a positive and a positive? Of course, we put a positive and a positive in the brackets as well, right? It's pretty straightforward, right? Are you guys fine with this one? Pretty straightforward. You've seen these a lot of times, right? Okay, so the next one that we have is number 5. And number 5 is when we have a negative symbol here at the front of 2ax plus a squared, right? And I told you guys, when we have a negative symbol at the front, when we're starting with a negative symbol, and then we go over to the positive symbol, right? What did I tell you guys? I told you need to use 2 negatives. Then it's the exact same thing. You just distribute your x and your a, and you're done. So are you fine with this, guys? Just let me know. Okay, perfect. I'm glad you guys are okay with this. Let's now head over to the difference of 2 squares, right? So the difference of 2 squares, you need to be able to identify it. And how do you identify that it's a difference of 2 squares, right? Literally, what it's telling you, it's literally telling you that it's a difference. A difference means it's a subtraction, right, of 2 squares. A subtraction of 2 squares, right? Do you guys see it? That's literally what it means. So when you see something like that, right, and you see that you do not have a middle term like the others, then you know that you have a difference of 2 squares. So with this one, it's pretty simple. You just open 2 brackets as well. You put a positive symbol over there and a negative symbol over there. Then you do the exact same thing. You distribute your x and your a. Then you're done. Are you guys fine with this one? Okay, perfect. Okay. So let's head over to the next one as well. We have number 7, which is x to the power of 3, or x cubed plus a cubed, right? And then they just want us to simply what do you call it, to factor this, right? So factoring this, guys, just always use these certain steps, right? Always use these certain steps. Open a small bracket and open a big bracket, right? This is always going to be the case. If you see your expression like this, right? X to the power of 3 plus a to the power of 3, right? Or a number to the x to the power of 3 plus a number to the power of 3, right? Open a small bracket and open a big bracket. And that way I'm going to distribute 1x in the small bracket, all right? And I'm also going to distribute 2 x's or x squared in the bigger bracket, right? Then I'll do the exact same thing for our a's. Are you guys fine with this so far? So just always do this, right? And then as you can see, right, there should be a middle term over here, and then there should be symbols over here as well, right? This symbol is always a positive. This is always a positive, always a positive, right? Do not never ever use a negative symbol over there. That's always a positive, right? And then for this symbol over here, you just copy the one that they gave you, so it's a positive as well. So if this was a negative, you would place a negative over there. And then remember, do not ever change this positive symbol over there, right? So since they gave us a positive, let's change this back to a positive as well, right? And then all we need to do now is we need to find the middle term, right? And finding the middle term, the other symbol, the second symbol, you just need to take the opposite of this one. So it's a negative. And in the middle term, you just take it by multiplying these two, which is ax. So I think I said a lot. Are you guys okay with that, or should I repeat it again? You
Just
guys are fine
repeat
with-
it.
Okay, so I'm gonna repeat it one more time. Okay. So just always do these steps, guys. Let me just, okay. Okay, so the moment you see, they call this a sum of two cubes, right? So this is a sum of two cubes. As you can see, this is a cube, right? And this is another cube. And this it's a sum, right? It's a like an addition of two cubes. The moment you see that, you open two brackets, one small bracket and one big bracket, right? And then for the small bracket, you just distribute one of each, as you can see over there. And for the bigger brackets, you distribute two of each. Are you guys fine with this part? I'm sure you're fine with it, right? And then you may be asking yourself, what goes over here? The symbol that goes over there is the symbol that they gave you originally. So if they gave you a positive, you just place a positive over there as well, right? And then the second symbol, this one, would be opposite to the symbol that they gave you, which is your positive, right? And then the last, my bad, and the last symbol would always be a positive. Are you guys fine with that? Before I move on, is everyone fine with that? Hit me with the thumbs up, guys, in the chat. Okay, perfect. It's always like that, guys. It's always like that. You copy the exact same symbol they gave you, you take you change the opposite one on the next symbol. And the last one, it's always a positive. It's always going to be like that, guys. Okay, so now for the middle term, what do? You just take this a and the x, then you multiply them together, ax, and you're done. So hit me with thumbs up if you guys are okay with this. Then I'll also show you the example where we put a negative symbol there. Okay, so let's do one more where we have a negative symbol in between. And this is called, and this one is called the difference of two cubes, not two squares. Difference of two cubes, right? You do the exact same thing. You open a small bracket and the big bracket. Distribute your x's and your a's, right? And what do you do after that? You copy the exact same symbol on the first one, so which is your negative. And the second symbol is going to be opposite to the symbol that you were given, right? So it's going to be a positive over there. And then the last symbol is always a positive as well. And you just take the a and the x, so ax. Then you're done. Do you guys see it? Okay, perfect. So if you follow these steps, you're never going to get anything related to this incorrect, right? You just need to be able to identify it, and we'll do a couple, a lot of examples, especially near your tests. You see, we do a lot of lessons where we do and practice all of these questions so that you guys know these laws instantly, right? You can remember them immediately. Okay, so we are done with the factoring laws. I would like us to do a couple of examples now, right? So, and I would like you guys to answer these examples that I'm doing right now, right? You must tell me step by step. Someone must volunteer to do the question with me step by step, right? So we have z to the power of 1/4 plus z to the power of 5/4. So any takers with this one? Any takers? So they just want us to factor. So this is factoring. Anyone who thinks they can give it an attempt? Okay, Renelo, you may attempt it.
Okay, so I think we factor out z to the power 1/4.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, so we take
And then
out.
bracket,
Okay.
and then it's 1 plus Z. I don't
Perfect,
know if I'm
perfect.
supposed to say 4/4, but I think I can still write it like that, right?
Yes, yes. So that's 100% correct. You can say on 4/4 if you want to, or you can just say a Z over there, right? So all we had to do in this case, we had to take out a common factor, right? You can see you have your Z 1 to the power of 1/4 plus Z to the power of 5/4, right? So they have something in common, which is your Z to the power of 1/4. Take out that common factor, and this is what you have remaining in the bracket. Are you guys fine with this one? Okay. So we need another taker. We need another taker. Well done to was it Renilwe? Well done, well done, well done. Okay. So we have the next one. I would like us to, okay, let me do this one. Let me do this one actually. I think you guys should be familiar with these types, but they did not. Okay, it's basically grouping, just to give you guys a hint. So anyone who wants to take this example, does anyone want to take this example? Okay. Panuel, or is it Fanuel? I'm not sure. Sorry for butchering your name if I did.
Yes. So I may talk.
Okay, yes, yes, you may.
We're gonna group. We're gonna say ax squared plus b x squared.
Wait, sorry. So we're gonna say ax squared plus bx squared. Okay, perfect.
Minus
Minus.
ay squared minus b y squared.
Okay. Then what's the next?
Then we're gonna factor out x squared between ax squared plus bx squared.
Okay.
So we're gonna say we're gonna say x squared, then open a bracket, then it's gonna be a plus b. Then
Perfect.
on the next the two terms, we're gonna factor out negative y squared. So it's gonna be a plus b. So the next step, so we have a common factor in these two terms. So the common factor will be a plus b, open bracket a plus b, then close bracket x squared minus y squared.
Okay, so that is 100% correct. Well done, well done, well done, well done. So basically what happened over here is, you identified that we have an x squared over there, and we also have an x squared over there as well, right? So we put them one side. And you also identified that he has a y squared. Let me use a different color. He has a y squared and a y squared over there as well. Then you group them together as well, right? So after that, he took out a common factor of x squared, as you can see, took out a common factor of x squared. And he also took out a common factor of negative y. Okay, wait. Okay, yes. So he took out a common factor of negative y as well, right? And then that gave him this part, right? And then a plus b remaining. And he just grouped them because he could see that this, this a plus b and this a plus b, they can be grouped. And then you basically have your x squared minus y squared remaining on the outside, right? So well done. That was 100% correct, right? You could also do the other myth. You could also do it like this, right, guys? So let me just quickly raise this. That's if you wanted to. Panel just took a extra step. Let me show you how you could also do it. So if you actually wanted to, right, you could just take out a common factor of a for these two. Then you take out a common factor of b for these two. And then you would have a x squared minus y squared plus b. x squared minus y squared, right? And then you could identify that these are the same brackets, so you can group them together. And then also the remaining that's on the outside, you can also group them together, right? So we have x squared minus y squared, and then the other brackets is what we have remaining on the outside, which is a plus b, right? So you can do it any way. It's fine. It's gonna lead you to the same answer. Whatever way you're comfortable with, just please use that method, right? Okay, Renee Ray, I see you raise up your hand. You may shoot.
Oh, sorry. So I wanted to do this method, so it's fine.
Oh, okay, perfect,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay, so maybe let's do one more, right? Okay, so here's the last one that I'm gonna ask you guys to do. Okay, yes. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys two more, right? Just two more. Let's do this one as well. So we have 8 minus x to the power of 3. Does anyone want to take this one? Any takers? Any takers? Okay, so you see, okay, Apumelele, I see you have, well, you raised up your hand, so let's go. Or was it by mistake? Okay, so I'm gonna, okay, Boitmelo or Boitmele, you may answer it.
I think the answer is 2 to the power 3 minus x to the power 3. And
Okay, perfect.
then, yeah.
Where do we go from here onwards?
You open to,
Okay.
yeah,
Open to
from here on, you don't know.
Okay, so from here onwards, right? You can do this two ways, right? It's either you can rewrite it in the format that you are used to, right? Which is changing it to negative x to the power of 3 plus 2 to the power of 3, right? And then maybe you take out a common factor of minus 1, right? So you would have negative x to the power of 3 minus 2 to the power of 3. And then you just do this part alone. And then you leave the negative outside. Do you guys see where I'm headed to? Does everyone see where I'm headed to by doing it this way? Okay, perfect. Or you can do the exact same thing, but you know, your order's just gonna be different. You can just open a small bracket and open a big bracket, right? And then how do we do it? We distribute the 2, we distribute the x as well, right? Someone who's just please unmute your mic. Someone who's, let me just mute. I'm just gonna mute it for you guys, right? Sorry. Okay. So as I was saying, right, you do the exact same thing. You open one small bracket, open one big bracket, right? Now remember what I told you. Where does this negative symbol go? Goes in the small brackets, right? And since it goes in the small brackets, let's distribute our 2 as well. Then let's distribute our x as well. And that's what we have, right? And then remember, this is always a positive, guys. Please, I'm begging you. This is always a positive, no matter what order you have, right? Just always put a positive there. And then the next symbol, right? Since this was a negative, the other symbol is going to be a positive. Then we just take the x and the 2. And that's it. So you see, you don't even need to, you know, do all of this. As long as you know that this is the exact same thing, you can just do it like this. And I'm just gonna write down 4 over here. Okay, perfect. So one more, and I would like someone to take this one as well. We have x to the power of 6 minus y to the power of 6. So let's do this one and we'll be done with our examples over here. So we'll be done with 0.5. We'll start with 0.6, which is fractions. So let's go. Any takers on this one? Any takers? Any takers? Okay. So it seems like we don't have any takers so far. So I'm just gonna do it, right?
So can you give us a bit of time, Shem?
Oh, okay. So you guys are still doing it.
Yeah, I'm still trying.
Okay, not a problem. Let me give you, and I give you guys, let's say, 2 minutes to do it. So by 48, you should be done. Okay, so 1 minute remaining. Or a couple of, okay, so actually it's done now. So any takers? Any takers for this one? Just raise up your hand and we'll ask you to answer it. Okay, so I'm just gonna show it to you guys. This one is pretty simple, guys. It's trust me, it's pretty simple. Okay, yes.
So can you say x to the power 3 times x to the power 3 minus y to the power 3 times y to the power 3?
Okay, sorry, just give me a second. Okay.
And then I factored out x to the power 3.
You factor it out.
Minus y to the power 3. Like I had two brackets that are the same, so I'm not sure they.
Okay, so you can definitely write it like this, but you can also just do it like this, guys. This one is pretty simple. It looks difficult, but it's pretty simple, right? Just say x to the power of 3 squared minus y to the power of 3 squared. And then do you see what format we have? Don't look at this. Just look at what we have over there. Are you guys able to identify what format we have? Do you guys agree when I say this is a difference of two squares? Perfect, perfect. So it's up to you. You could have either said x to the power of 2 and then put a 3 over there minus x to the power of 2, and you put a 3 over there. But you know, you would have to use the, what do you call it? The difference of two cubes, right? So just working with the difference of two squares just seems a bit easier for me. So I'm just gonna use that one. I'm just gonna use that one, right? So over here, I'm gonna open two brackets. And when I open these two brackets, I'm gonna put a positive symbol over there and a negative symbol over there as well. Then I will distribute what I have, which is x to the power of 3, right? X to the power of 3 as well. And then y to the power of 3 and another y to the power of 3. Do you guys see it? Okay, perfect. And then yeah, then you can just, I think this will be a final answer. Or you can do it that other way, that oh, sorry. Yeah, this is not the final answer. Just look at what we have over here. We have the sum of two cubes and the difference of two cubes. So as you can see, I'll open one small bracket for this part, and I'll open one big bracket for it as well, right? So let me just also do this. So we are opening a small bracket and a big bracket for this part, right? This part alone. And then I'll distribute my x and y. This is always a positive. This is going to be a positive, negative, x, y as well. Do you guys see what we did over there? Just put a thumbs up. Okay, you guys are fine with that one, right? And then we do the exact same thing for the second bracket. So for the second bracket, I'm just going to use a green color for it. So this time around, I'm going to put a negative symbol in between. And then we'll have x squared plus xy plus y squared. Are you guys fine with this one as well? So I'm just doing the laws that we already did. If you're not fine with it, guys, just please do say. Don't be afraid to ask. Okay, so it seems like you guys are okay with this, and this will be a final answer. So before I move on to 0.6, are you guys okay with this? Okay, perfect. So now we will head over to chapter 0.6, which is fractions, right? And fractions, we have 4 types of fractions that we deal with, right? Or maybe let's say 5, because the first one, you know, it's also a subtopic of fractions that we also deal with, right? So the first one that I would like to teach you guys is simplifying fractions, right? And with simplifying fractions, you guys should be familiar with it as well, right? So let's say we have an example that says we need to simplify x to the power of 2 minus x minus 6 divided by x squared minus 7x plus 12, right? What do we do in this case, right? They just want us to simplify. So of course, we will simplify the expressions at the numerator and the denominator in hopes that one of the brackets will cancel out, right? So at the top, I'm going to open 2 brackets in the numerator, right? I'll distribute my x, and then I hope you remember we did this before. The top part, we did it before, right? We found the multiples of 6, which is 1 and 6, and the 2 and the 3, right? So the 2 and the 3 is the one that we need to use in order to get to the -1 of the middle term, right? I hope you guys are with me. So I'm going to say positive 2 minus 3. Are you guys with me? Okay, so it seems like you guys are still fine, right? This will be divided by, I'm going to do the exact same thing in the denominator. So in the denominator, I need to find multiples of 12. That gives me a negative 7 when I add or subtract them, right? So 12 is, we have a multiple of 1 and 2. Sorry, 1 and 12. So that gives us a 12. 2 and 6 as well. Then we have a 3 and a 4, right? So only the 3 and the 4 will give us a negative 7. And how will it give us a negative 7? If we say negative 3 minus 4. Are you guys okay with this? Just put another, just put another round of thumbs up. Okay, lovely. Now, all I have to do is I have to cancel this. As you can see, they're the same brackets. Same brackets. So I can cancel them out. And then my final answer in this case would be our x plus 2 divided by x minus 4. And please don't make the mistake of trying to cancel out these x's. Please, 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 I'm begging you guys. Don't ever try to do that. So this would be your final answer. So hit me with a thumbs up if you guys are fine with this, and then we can move on to the next part. So simplifying your fractions, right, is something that you always need to try to do. Any fraction question that you have, always try to find a way to simplify it. If you can't, and then that's when you can start using the other operations or fractions, right? Okay. So I hope you guys heard me on that one, right? I hope you guys heard me on that one. So the first type of operation with fractions I'll start with is multiplying or multiplication of fractions, which is the easiest, right? This one, and division is the easiest, right? A lot of people struggle with the addition and the subtraction, but I'll show you an easy way to do them, right? So multiplication of fractions, right? Let's say we have a fraction a divided by b, and they want us to multiply it with a fraction c divided by d. This one is pretty straightforward. The numerators, you multiply them by themselves. The denominators, you multiply them by themselves. That's always the case, right? Never change it. That's always the case. And this will give you AC multiplied by BD, right? That's always the case. So let's do an example. Let's say we have x squared divided by x plus 4, right? And then this is multiplied by, let's say, x plus 2 divided by x minus 5, right? Remember, if you see a multiplication or that dot in between those two fractions, all you have to do is you have to multiply the numerator with the numerator, the denominator with the denominator. So technically, this is what we have. X squared multiplied by x plus 2 divided by x plus 4 multiplied by x minus 5, right? And then we just simplify everything. So we'll have x to the power of 3 when we multiply the x squared inside, plus 2x squared. This is divided by these two brackets. When we multiply them together, we use FOIL, right? So I'm just going to do it quick because I assume that you guys should be fine with that, right? So we would have x squared minus 5x plus 4x minus 20. And then simplifying this further, we would have x to the power of 3 plus 2x squared divided by x squared minus 1 minus x minus 20, right? And that would be a final answer. So just put a thumbs up if you guys are fine with this. Okay, perfect. So just always make sure, guys, if you see two fractions multiplying with each other, just multiply the numerator by themselves and the denominator by themselves as well, right? That's always the case. It's never going to change, right? This is the easiest type of question that you could get, with your multiplication of fractions. If you ever get these type of questions in your test, please ace them, right? Please. So I'm not gonna do any other example with multiplication because the technique is always the same, right? You see a multiplication in the middle, multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators, and then you're done. It's always the case, right? But now let's head over to division of fractions. So with our division of fractions, we just have one extra step. And that step that we need to do, right? We just have one step that we need to do at the start. And once we do that step at the start, right, we will be able to do the multiplication. It will change it to multiplication. And then we just do the normal thing that we are used to, right? So here's what I mean by that. If we have a divided by B, and this is divided by C divided by, or C over D. Let me say C over D, right? The extra step that we need to do, right? Okay, so here's the extra step that we need to do. We need to change the division into multiplication, right? That's the only step that we need to do. And when we change the division into multiplication, this part over here will swap terms, right? Or swap positions. So we would now have D over C when we change that to multiplication, right? So let me show you. This would be equals to A divided by B times D divided by C, all right? So that's the only extra step that you need to do. You just need to change the division to multiplication and swap the two around, right? And then after that, you can see it's the same thing. You just multiply the numerator and the numerator and the denominator with the denominator, right? That's always going to be the case, guys. Okay, so let's do an example. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the easy example, and then I'm going to maybe do one that people might find challenging. So let's start off with this one. So x divided by x plus 2 is divided by x plus 3 divided by x minus 5, right? So remember what I told you, just do that extra step. So the x plus x divided by x plus 2 stays the same. Then I put a multiplication symbol at the front, and then I just swap these two. So I get x minus 5 in the numerator, and then x plus 3 in the denominator, right? Then after that, as you can see, we just have multiplication of fractions. We just multiply the two fractions together. So I would have x squared minus 5x in the numerator divided by, I'm going to multiply these two together as well, right? By foiling. So I would have x squared plus 3x plus 2x plus 6. And then simplifying everything together, this would now be my final answer. Are you guys fine with this one? Okay, perfect. So I think the moment you just remember that division of fractions, you just need to swap, right? You just need to change the sign and swap. Then I think that's, from then onwards, you should be fine. So I'm going to do one more example, or one or two, depending on what I see, right? I'm going to do one more example, Let's do this example. Okay, so we have x minus 5 over x minus 3, and this is divided by 2x, right? So how do we approach such a question, right? Usually I would prefer to write it down in the format you're most comfortable with, right? And what I mean by that is that you can see that this is the numerator, right? This part is shorter than this part. So this means that this part is just catering for these two. Right, do you guys see that? Okay, so that's the numerator. That whole thing is the numerator. And this will be our denominator, right? So write it down in the format that you're used to. So we have x minus 5 over x minus 3 divided by, right? So divided by 2x. It's not divided by 1 over 2x. It's divided by 2x, right? And then what happens over there when we change this to multiplication, right? I hope you guys can agree with me that this is the same as 2x over 1. It's the exact same thing, right? So what happens when we change this division to multiplication? What happens when you change this division to multiplication? These two positions swap, right? These two swap positions. So we basically have a 1 in the numerator, and then a 2x in the denominator. And then from here onwards, you cannot get it wrong, right? So you have 1 multiplied by x plus x minus 5. Then you have your 2x multiplied by x minus 3. And that will be your final answer. So are you guys fine with this? Pretty straightforward, right? Okay. So remember, if this was a 1 over 2x, you do the exact same thing. But remember, over here, you would have to swap the position of these two, right? Are you guys with me on this? Okay, perfect. So I think I explained that nicely, and you guys should be okay with this, right? Okay, so I'm not going to continue with addition and subtraction of fractions. I'm going to do it on our next lesson, because that one is a bit more demanding usually to students. So what I would like to do though is I would like to give you guys homework, right? And please, okay, it's not homework, it's just work, right? So I would also prefer you guys to submit it before 12. Is that fine with everyone? So submission before midnight. So you send it to my you send it to my number. Yes, today, today midnight. Oh, but you guys have web work. So okay. If some of you guys might not be done with the web work. Okay, so submission before tomorrow midnight. Right? So tomorrow midnight, submission before tomorrow midnight. Okay, my camera doesn't work. Okay, so you will be exempted, it's fine. Right? Submission before tomorrow midnight. Okay, so let me write down the homework for you guys. Okay, so I would like you guys to do this one for homework as well. Please make sure that you do not make any mistakes, right? So make sure you do not make any mistakes. Double check. Always try to double check. And especially since you got, time, right? You definitely need to double check before sending me the answer, right? And then the second one that I would like you guys to do is I would like you guys to factorize this one. We have 4x to the power of 6 over 5 minus 1, right? And the third one I would like you guys to factorize would be 4x to the power of 4 minus 20x squared plus 25. And then I'm going to give you guys ones from chapter 6 now, right? So 0.6, yes, chapter 0.6. Yes, this is what you guys will be doing for homework. I was going to give you guys easier ones, but you guys don't want to submit, you know, at midnight. You want to submit tomorrow. So you will have enough time to work on these. And the last one that I would like you guys to do So here's the last one I would like you guys to do. I want to give you guys, okay, let me be lenient and give you guys a decent one. Let's go with negative 9x to the power of 3 divided by x minus 3. Okay, so please do these ones. And then we will see each other in the next lesson, which will be in 2 days' time, right? So on Saturday. I think the schedule says Saturday, right? So yeah, that's it for today, guys. Thank you for attending. The video will be posted on YouTube. My pleasure. To Renelwe. So the video will be posted on YouTube. You can view it over there if anytime you want to revise or anything. And yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for attending and have a great night.